Hey guys, and welcome back to Dark Souls Remastered. My name is Rob. Last time I recorded way more footage than I was actually able to fit into 1 hour long episode, so I kind of had to chop up that episode a good bit. Sorry about that. Got a little overzealous with recording that part. Gonna try not to make the same mistake twice though. But anyway, I wanted to come by and see the Pardoner, Oswald of Kareem.
Greetings. Just in time, are you not?
And I'm not exactly sure what I did to commit sin in this game. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's an NPC I've killed yet or something like that. I really can't remember as of recording right now. And I haven't gone back and watched any of the other recordings. But when you request absolution, yeah, I would need 29,500 souls to be absolved of my sins. Forgiveness is not cheap in the world of Lordran.
Hast thou acquaintance with Petrus of Thurn? I wager you two has likely found much in common. For is he not too drenched in sin?
Yep, there's somebody else tattling on Petrus of Thorland. Lautrec will do it too. I wasn't able to trigger that dialogue from him, unfortunately, but it seems like a lot of the NPCs around here know what Petrus is.
Hast thou acquaintance? I would for is
And the only reason he's saying that I would have something in common with him is because apparently I committed a sin at some point. It could be the fact I've been hopping from one covenant to the next without like leaving the covenant formally. I don't know. Maybe I don't think I attacked Shiva of the East or anything like that. Maybe it's the fact I joined the Dragon Covenant. I don't know.
thou art welcome. Any it is only human.
But anyway, I wanted to kind of show that, and I don't remember if I read Velka's rapier or not, but in case I didn't. A symbolic, powerful thrusting sword used by the Pardoner serving Velka, goddess of sin. It is no mere symbol, to be sure. The Pardoner is an inhuman swordsman, and wields this enchanted blade with special sword technique. Which, honestly, if you decide to strike Oswald of Kareem, he's really not that difficult to take out, but he can parry you, I want to say. Fights with Velka's rapier, and I think the parrying dagger is his offhand weapon. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm going to move forward from this spot here and get started on New Londo, I think. Alright, let's go ahead and kindle up this bonfire the rest of the way so that I can have 20 Estus flasks. Because in a place like New Londo where there's no bonfires, it's pretty handy to have enough Estus to last you the whole level. Since I basically plan on doing the whole level, but obviously I'm not going to fight the Four Kings until later. But after especially after finishing Anor Londo, the next logical thing to do is to go into New Londo because that is where the very large Ember is, and it will allow you to upgrade your normal weapons that you've reinforced to a +10 all the way up to a +15, provided you have the necessary materials. And New Londo has a lot of those materials, both in the form of random... Oh, I had a stored roll. I did not even press the circle button there. In the form of enemy drops, as well as just having them kind of scattered around a bit. And in case I die, I'm going to send that elevator back up. Do some parkour. Parkour! And down we go. Let me also make sure I've got some transient curses. I know I probably have a couple. Yeah, I have exactly two that I got at the beginning of the game. And what rings do I have on? Okay, I want the wolf ring definitely down here. Because if you get ganked by ghosts, yeah. So let's have a look at this place via the binoculars here. Got that opening in the ceiling that I pointed out that this hollow seems to be kind of just gazing at. He's missing the sun. But man, like, this is just a huge underground city. The other day I was watching the first and second Hobbit movies with my wife, and the dwarves and everything. They lived in this big. They lived basically on the inside of a mountain, and that's kind of what's happening here. It was a civilization of humans, or they're known as pygmies in the world of Dark Souls. So even though they appear to be like normal human height, compared to the other beings that exist in this world, they're kind of dwarfish. Oh, and look who it is. It's Crestfallen. He came down here and he went hollow. And now that he's hollow, he really wants to fight. You remember from his dialogue, he was very upset at the appearance of Frampt because of Frampt's terrible breath. You can only imagine. And he said, maybe it's time I did something about it. So what could he have been planning to do about the appearance of Frampt? Well, there's only one thing that'll make Frampt go away. Well, really, there's a couple of things, but the big thing is coming down to New Londo and discovering Frampt's counterpart, I guess. It's the other giant serpent in the game, whose name is Dark. Instead of Kingseeker Frampt, it's Dark Stalker Koth. There we go. That's a little bit of a tongue twister there. So it looks like it would appear that old Crestfallen did not have any interest in linking the flame. He was more interested in getting as much humanity as he maybe was able to. But he went hollow right down here, probably because he was not able to figure out how to take on the ghosts. Didn't realize that you have to use transient curses or become cursed. Or maybe he did become cursed and that just caused him to lose hope. Because we know that what keeps an undead from going hollow is keeping your hope. And what keeps you from becoming a corpse basically in stasis is if you forfeit hope to the point that you don't even hope in getting any souls or humanity anymore. At least that's my theory. Assuming that the corpses are indeed hollows that are alive, yes, yet just haven't, they just don't move anymore. Yeah, this room is, it's good to have plenty of poison here because you can easily get ganked by ghosts that are hiding in the floor like this one. There we go. But the game is very nice to you in that it lets you unlock a shortcut just as soon as you get through that house. You already get a shortcut where you can just bypass it every single time afterwards if you happen to die. You gotta come over here and you gotta kick a ladder down somewhere. My memory might be failing me. Hang on. It must be further up or something. Yeah, because this is the parrying dagger, and there's a ghost that hides right there. There we go. You've heard me talk about the parrying dagger a lot. Here it actually is. It's a B scaling index, 131 critical damage modifier, 14 dex requirement. So, I mean, it's like a basic dagger, except if you put it in the left hand, your shield hand, it actually has the same parrying animation as a parrying shield. This dagger is useful after parrying and is normally equipped in the left hand, a favorite of the Knights of Karim, who are famous for fighting without a shield. So we know that Lautrec uses the parrying dagger, but also Oswald will use one as well. So them folks, they just don't believe in shields. If you use a shield, you're a wussy. Stop screaming. That's the other kind of ghost in New Londo, the female version that, if you look very closely, which I'll try to zoom in on one eventually, they appear to be holding an infant. And they have a chance of dropping the rarest weapon in the game, which is the Ghost Blade. It's a dagger. It's not very good. You don't even need to get it to acquire the True Knight trophy, which requires you to collect all rare weapons. That's how rare it is. The jagged ghost blade that the regular ghost will drop is fairly common. It's not too terrible to get. Oh boy. Okay. You get down here, and there's going to be like 3 ghosts that float up from right there. And I'll actually try to get them with my arrows. Yeah. Because they'll come up and they'll retreat, and their AI gets funny. Their AI just acts weird. They'll like get just close enough to hit you and then try to run away. And we got some other takers here who want a piece of the chosen undead. Might as well give them what they want. There we go. They were actually coming from inside this big building here, which I think may be a church. Not entirely sure. Whoop. See, that one just, decided to go inside of a wall. Little jerk, come back here. Yeah, Dark Souls 2 and 3, from my recollection, they did not have enemies like this. I remember Dark Souls 2 had a type of ghost enemy that would kind of just come out of the wall and remain stationary, like in one spot. I don't think Dark Souls 3 had anything like that. They definitely didn't have an enemy that you would have to use a transient curse or some such weapon in order to kill. So, I don't know. Okay, there's a big open room right there. Getting punched through the wall. Ow. Oh, my transient curse wore off. Lovely. Yeah, they last about, I don't know, I thought they lasted 10 minutes. May not be that long. There we go. Wolf Ring definitely helps in those instances. Alright, I'm going to come on in here. Yeah, it's another one of those. I'm going to see if I can get a good look. She's holding a knife and holding an infant, and she will throw lightning at me. So she may have been a miracle user or something. I feel like the whole thing of throwing lightning is pretty significant in this game, because the very first person you hear of wielding lightning is Gwen. And of course there's the lightning spear miracle that you can get from joining the Sunlight Covenant. So I don't know. She seems to be able to wield it pretty easily. Yeah, okay, there's still some ghosts up here, so I'm going to try to deal with them before heading up to the roof. There we go. Yeah, this part can be pretty tough if you're not using any poise, because any one of those hits will just stun the hell out of you. And if there's more than one ghost, I mean, they can easily stun lock you to death. Let's see, there should have been a doorway out. Maybe it's a little further up. Let me see. Oh! There we go. A lot of ghosts have dropped items and stuff that I can't reach. When I've killed them from a distance and stuff like that. That kind of sucks. Maybe one of the items was the Jagged Ghost Blade, which you can just use to kill the ghost because it has a curse on it already, and you don't have to use transient curses. But this weapon in and of itself, it's not very good in the late game. It's one of those things, if you manage to get it early on, it's really good, but it doesn't scale with your stats or anything. So, kind of like the Drake sword, it's great when you get it, but the further into the game you go, it's not so great. All right, so we get a Curse Bite Ring. It's one of the bite rings that I think is to do with... Yeah, there we go. One of the infamous bite rings commissioned by Sir Arstor of Kareem. Despite the dreadful rumors surrounding its creation, this ring is an unmistakable asset in its ability to help prevent curses. And if you look closely at it, it's got a skull in the middle of it. What does that remind you of? If I have one. It said the dreadful means to make it. I don't have a what you call it. Well, I'll just have to read that later. I forget what it's called exactly. But it's the item that is used for lifting a curse. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it. The NPC up here might actually sell them, and I can read it there. Let me see. Let's get up here into this, up through the... This kind of reminds me of a chimney or something, but it's got a ladder in it, so I don't know. Maybe it was a chimney at one point. Or maybe it, had a bell in it? I don't know. But anywho, it's an NPC up here. And look what he's wearing, the Crimson set. I've seen two characters that are decked out like this so far. Said one of them was an NPC that we had to fight, and the other one was a corpse that we pillaged these items from.
Well, this is a surprise. I get few visitors. Save for ghosts. You have the Lord Vessel. Very impressive. I know exactly what your intentions are. You seek the four kings whom I guard over. This is the key to the seal. The four kings slumber in the deepest chamber of the ruins. Use this key to break the seal and open the floodgates. Oh, and do not forget, the dark wraiths reside in a dark void called the Abyss. But the Abyss is no place for ordinary mortals. Although, long ago, the knight Artorias traversed the Abyss. If you can find him and learn from him, the Abyss may prove surmountable.
We've heard a little bit about Artorias, and we discovered that he actually has a grave deep in the Darkroot Forest. So how are we supposed to learn from Artorias if he's got a grave?
Hello there. What is it? The key to the seal is now in your hands. I will help you in any way possible.
Alright, so if you're cursed, you can actually have a curse broken by Ingi. Not Ingi. Ingward. That's what this guy's name is, Ingward. You can purchase a transient curse. You can't purchase the other item, though. That's a shame. But he has a spell, a sorcery, that is resist curse. Sorcery of the red-robed Remediation. Remedician. There we go. That's how you would pronounce that. Sorcery of the red-robed Remedician, Ingward, guardian of the seal in New Londo. Sacrifice humanity to undo curse. Abhorrent curses eat away at the core of one's very existence, and cleansing oneself of curses is no easy task indeed. I forget exactly how this spell works. Like, if it only, increases your curse resistance, or if, after you're cursed, you can uncurse yourself. I really don't remember how this one works. But anyway, another sorcerer that has, healing type of sorceries that are very unique. They're not part of the Dragon School of Sorcery or anything like that. I believe there's only this one and the other one I have in the game.
New Londo was sacrificed to contain the Dark Wraiths. Mark my words, the Dark Wraiths are the enemies of man and any living thing that has a soul. They were never meant to roam again. New Londo was sacrificed. Mark my words, they were never meant.
Really, the Dark Wraiths are the enemies to undead, mostly. I don't know if they would even really go after somebody who's not undead because they may not have just a ton of humanity. I'm not exactly sure how that would work, to be honest with you. But anyway, Ingward doesn't have all too terribly much to say. But he's the only sealer that stayed behind in New Londo, and there were two others. Remedy, that's the other one that we found in Blighttown. And it's a sorcery from the Red Robed, Yulva, one of the sealers of New Londo. Reduce bleeding and poison buildup and undo various poisonous effects. One of New Londo's unique healing sorceries. Perhaps she abandoned her sealer duty to take her healing arts back to Blighttown. Yeah, I mean, between her and Ingward and the unnamed sealer that we see fighting alongside Lautrec, my speculation is that those two felt really guilty about flooding New Londo, because we'll see here in a bit, once I drain the city of all the water, you see corpses upon corpses piled up, people trying to get out, all kinds of corpses, adult, child, man, woman. They killed a lot of people in the process of trying to contain the Dark Wraiths. I would imagine, Ingrid here seems to be pretty, confident that what was done was for the greater good. Whether it was or not, you can draw your own conclusions about that, but the other two, they left their duties here in making sure that the Four Kings stayed sealed. One of them joined with Lautrec, who, if you really look at what Lautrec is doing, he seems to be trying to stop the undead pilgrimages to allow for the coming of the Age of Dark, which would be the natural progression of the world, and which would kind of overthrow the gods of Lordran and Anor Londo and all that, from perpetuating the undead curse on humanity, on the pygmies. The other one, Yulva, who looked like she expired in Blighttown. Obviously, in order to kind of atone for what she did, it would seem that she tried to go to one of the most diseased and wretched places using her healing arts to help people who would suffer in Blighttown from, poisons and bleeding and everything else that those denizens were subjected to. Why she became a corpse, who can say? Maybe she was undead to begin with, and she eventually went hollow, realizing that, was kind of what she was doing was futile. Maybe she became poisoned and wasn't able to get rid of it. Maybe her sorcery wasn't strong enough. Maybe she wasn't undead. Maybe she was just a regular human being, and she really did die, and that's where her corpse was. Who can say? But anyway, it would seem that, the three of them had different views about how they should use their skills. One of them, of course, wants to stay behind, guard the Four Kings. He believes that, the Dark Wraiths and the Age of Dark are intrinsically evil things and that they're bad for mankind. The other wanted to stop the undead pilgrimages, and then yet another one didn't seem to really want to take part in either side and just wanted to help heal people, but then ended up going hollow for it. So anyway, let's have a look at that key he gave us. The key to the seal. Key to the floodgates of New Londo, which seal away the Four Kings who fell into dark. The sealers flooded New Londo to banish the Dark Wraiths and the Four Kings. The agonizing decision was made with the realization that countless lives and the robust culture of the city would be lost. The victims now roam the ruins as ghosts. Ghosts instead of hollows, I guess. I don't know how that works exactly. And that was the seal, just this iron gate here. I'm trying to wrap my head around why a person who is undead would come back as a ghost as opposed to just coming back as a hollow. But maybe if an undead dies in such a way that they cannot respawn at a bonfire or anything like that, or the people of New Londo, they don't even have a bonfire down here. There isn't one. Unless it once existed and we just can't see where it was. I don't know. I really wish that they had put a bonfire here at the bottom, though. But there may be lore reasons that they didn't. Yeah, so this guy is a Dark Wraith. It's a lot like fighting a Silver Knight, except they're faster. But you can still backstab them easily enough, and if you get used to the timing of their attacks, you can parry them, of course. Man, and just look at all these corpses piled up here. Man. Trying to get at this door. And as you can see, this gate leads out into the Valley of Drakes. As long as you don't get too close, you don't have to worry about the Drakes coming in here and fighting you. But the idea I was getting at is maybe if a hollow dies in such a way that they cannot, or if an undead dies in such a way that they cannot come back as an undead or as a hollow, maybe the souls that they have that would have left their bloodstain there, maybe that manifests and becomes a ghost. I don't know. He just kind of got thrown off there for a second. The only way that you can get their armor and weapon is by joining the Darkwraith Covenant and giving Darkstalker Kath enough humanity. You can get their full armor set and their weapon, which is, they're okay, not great. The armor set looks cool, looks like super edgy, if you're into that. The weapon itself is just, it's just okay. They do drop Titanite chunks fairly regularly. I'm actually going to switch weapons here. This fire damage works really good on these enemies. There's a guy back here who's a big blob with a spear in his mouth, and he coughs up those ghost head things. Yeah, see? That was the spear in his mouth. He shot it at me. Let's see. I had another thought that I was going to continue talking about, and now I can't remember. The Dark Wraiths, they do drop the Dark Hand. You can get that from them, which is also a Covenant item of the Dark Wraiths. Would you come over here and stop hitting me with a spear? Come here. Come on. I don't want to fight you and all the Dark Wraiths at the same time. You know what? I'm just gonna come over here, and we're gonna talk about lore until you drag your sorry butt around the corner. Oh, there he comes. I don't know what these things are called exactly, but they're something else. They seem to have like a bunch of corpses on the inside of them. Maybe some of the corpses that didn't turn into ghosts all smushed together with humanity and became that. I beats me. Yeah, Dark Wraiths definitely don't have a strong fire defense, so any fire weapons you have work pretty good on them. Let me drink a swig of water here. My voice is cracking up today. Must be the weather. All right. Coughed up a couple of these ghost things. Let me go ahead and set them off. How long have I been recording? Okay, we're still making decent time. There's one other Dark Wraith right here. Ugh, wasn't close enough to get the parry. Unfortunately, you cannot parry the tip of their weapons in most instances. They will also kick. If you're holding up a shield, they'll do everything they can to try and break your guard. There we go. Titanite chunk. Also, I did miss a weapon back there. I'm going to go back and get it here in a second. But I'll go ahead and go this way first. Because this will lead over to the very large Ember, which we hear Vamos talk about an Ember from New Londo. It's a little bit of a mess up with the dialogue there. I don't know if they already had the dialogue recorded and then they just changed the way that they did things, but yeah, it's kind of a shame that they did that. Because he talks like, Vamos talks like you would bring that Ember to him, but you actually bring it to Andre. The second Ember that you can bring to Vamos, is in the Demon Ruins. I think both of them are technically in the Demon Ruins. One is just further into them than the other is. Okay. You come up here to this chest, and this has the very large Ember. Let's give that a read. Need to go back to Rickard and give him the enchanted Ember. Huge Ember of highest quality, handled by the blacksmiths of Astora. Ascension for +10 standard weapon allows reinforcement to +15, on par with the greatest weapons of legend. Like the base cannon. It's the most legendary weapon of them all, of course. If you know anything about Dark Souls, you know that. Alrighty, so it's nothing else up here. I'm just gonna hop back down. Let me see here. Did I miss anything? Don't think so. Let's see here. What is through here? Where does this go? Oh, I think I know where this goes. It's a sort of a shortcut, but not one that I'd ever really recommend using. Yeah, this puts you back into this little ghost house here. But honestly, they're just better shortcuts that don't involve having to go anywhere near that house for those ghosts. There we go. I thought there was a humanity down here somewhere. Okay, so that's all the items in this room. And let's see here. Still some water left in this little area. There's another Dark Wraith up here. That is their easiest attack to parry, because it's got a very long wind up to it. It's easy to time. Large Soul of a Proud Knight. This is an illusory wall. And there's another Dark Wraith up here. Yeah. Some of their other attacks are more difficult to parry. It just takes practice. And over here is a chest with some chunks in it. one chunk. I wish it had been more like, I don't know, 3. That would have been nice. More chunks is always better. You come around here, there's a dude bent over a well. He's got some cracked red eye orbs. Those are the only ones you can find in the game besides Petrus's stash. The rest of them you have to buy from being in the Dark Wraith Covenant. Which requires first that you join the Dark Wraith Covenant, which means you have to avoid talking to Frampt, and it requires that you spend souls on them. But honestly, it's so easy if you want to do invasions to get the red eye orb that I personally recommend just getting that. All right, come up here. Since I've killed pretty much all the ghosts in the level, I don't have to worry about any of them coming out of here. Just have to worry about the Dark Wraiths. And that big blobby guy. I don't know what that enemy is called. I should know, but I don't. Yeah, if you get covered in their vomit, it'll, like, make your character slow walk. And I think it might drain health, too. I'm not sure. Try to get him to come out all the way here. There we go. He just puked right over my head. There we go. Freaking love Quelaag's Fury Sword. There's another Dark Wraith in here to the left. There we go. Alright. There is one more Dark Wraith, I believe, in this level. I think it's just the one more. And he's right back here. There we go. Okay. So in order to fight this boss, you have to have an item called the Covenant of Artorias. Otherwise, there's no point even going through the boss fog, because as soon as you go through it, you have to drop down into the abyss, and you will not survive without wearing that ring. And around this corner, you can summon Witch Beatrice, of all characters. She, not very useful, because the 4 kings are somewhat resistant to magic. They're definitely not weak to it, and all she does is cast spells. So, yeah. I don't bother summoning her, because of course that just increases the boss's health pool. And like it's multiple, like there's 4 of them, so you know they all each have their individual health bars, and at the same time they share a big pool of health that you have to deplete all the way. Because they can, you know, if you kill 4 of them without depleting that entire pool of health, they'll just start reappearing again. So it's a big time DPS race. So the less health they have, the better. To me, it's just a lot easier to go in by yourself. Because on new game, they're not all that difficult of a boss anyway. Alright, this is the platform that I meant to come out on here, that overlooks the Valley of the Drakes. If you come over here, you get the composite bow, which is actually very, very good. It's the shortest range bow in the game, but has the highest attack power. And that's kind of neat. From what I remember, the stat requirements, yeah, they're pretty low, 11 and 12. So any character will be able to use this, and if you don't plan on leveling up your strength and dex all that much, you can always make the composite bow like fire or something like that to get different kind of damage. Because you can buy fire arrows from... who sells them? I think the female undead merchant. So anyway, composite bow emphasizing power. Requires more strength than standard bows. However, its range is shorter, making it unfit for sniping. See, to me that doesn't make much sense, because you would think a bow that launches an arrow further would have more power behind it and therefore would do more damage up close as a result. I don't know. But that's Dark Souls logic, not real world logic. So anyway, done that. Let's see here. I'm just going to warp back to Firelink Shrine to make this quicker. Alrighty. Let's give this Enchanted Ember to Rickard here.
Hey, hang on. Is that a sorcery ember? I've never seen one like that. Not even back in Vinheim. What a brilliant flame. Please, friend, let me have that. I am begging you. I am a craftsman of Vinheim. I'd go hollow before I pass up a flame like that.
Yeah, so the Enchanted Ember actually comes from the ancient magical land of Ulasil, which is why he's never seen anything like it, even at Vinheim Dragon School.
Oh, really? You are wonderful. I will forge a Ricket masterpiece just for you. A weapon to make a legend out of it.
Alrighty, I wonder if he says anything different.
Oh, Big Hat. Of course I've heard of it. Who hasn't in Vinheim? He was a royal member of Dragon School until he turned undead. I hear he was quite the character. Only that was 100 years ago. What interest have you in the old eccentric now?
100 years ago. No telling how old Big Hat Logan actually is. But he was prominent, well respected in Vinheim until he turned undead, and then it's like, ugh, no, not undead.
Sorcery? Don't ask me how it actually works. We only fiddle and forge until it works itself in. That's how we do it in Vinheim, at least. We prefer to leave the theorizing to those uppity scholars.
Yeah, so it would seem that the Vinheim blacksmiths aren't as well, we'll say, educated in the way of magic. It seemed like those who are maybe less magically gifted in Vinheim probably end up being smiths and stuff like that for magic weapons.
Come back soon. Smithing helps soothe my nerves. Don't let me wither away out of idleness.
Yeah. So I'm also going to give the very large ember to Andre of Astora. Alrighty.
Well, I'll be. That's a brilliant ember you've got there. For all my years in the trade, that might be the finest. How's about you leave that ember with me? I'm just an old smith. I'd give my left arm for a gem like that.
Yes.
Well, thank you mightily for that. Now, just leave the rest to me. Andre of Astora gets the job done, you shall see.
Alright, and now we can modify weapons from a plus 10 to a plus 11, which will allow us to max them out at plus 15 with the use of Titanite slabs. So, which one you start with, it's up to you. Personally, I think the halberd will probably do some of the most damage while, with my current stat setup. So I'll go ahead and reinforce that one. And I'll go ahead and also, well, I don't know. I've got a lot of chunks here. So I could either fully reinforce one weapon or get all of my plus 10s going. I've got some decisions to make here.
Oh yes, and one it is said to house the grave of Sir Artorius, the Abyss Walker. Only of those who ventured into the forest, none has returned.
Yep, so that's the final little bit of dialogue I think you can get from him after going to New Londo and speaking to Ingward and all that fun stuff. So, further hints to go into the forest and, try and meet with Sir Artorias. Only Ingward seems to think that he's still alive. That tells you that all the events that transpired during the time of Ulasil happened while Ingward was... I don't know, it just seems like he probably hasn't been out of New Londo since all of that happened.
Don't get yourself killed. Neither of us want to see you go hollow.
Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with more Dark Souls Remastered. Until then, y'all take care.